Warning: this stream is rated for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, America, so the first word is pavement. Yeah, I didn't really get this one because I feel like we walk on the side, so I just wrote sidewalk. Okay, that's very simple, but we'll go with that. And so the next one I got is bin. Yeah, I did not get that one at all. I wrote trash can because you put trash in it and it looks like a can. Okay, the next one I got is petrol. I wrote gas, but it's a liquid. Yeah, I just prefer gas. The next one I have on my list is pushchair, such as for a baby. Yeah. For this one I put down stroller, because normally when you use them you're strolling. Pharmacy or chemist is a store for drugs, so I put drugstore. Simplifying everything a lot to the point of obnoxiousness. Okay then, well the first one we've got on this list is lift, as in the lift inside the building will take me up to the 3rd floor. I wrote elevator, like elevate me up the building, elevate me to a higher level. Okay, that one's surprisingly intellectual of you, and I'll let that one go. The next one I have is jumper, something that you wear in the autumn-winter period. I wrote sweater. When I wear one, I sweat. Like, it's so hot. So I mentioned this one only a few moments ago. It's autumn, as in the season. Oh my god, it's my favorite season. I wrote fall, because leaves fall down. Okay, that's it. Get out. Oh, say, can you see? And the next word I have is aubergine, as in the purple vegetable. Oh my god, I wrote down eggplant. Do not ask me why. Oh my god, I'm so random. Okay, I'm just gonna move on from that. The next word I have is aluminium. It's a metal. Aluminum. No, aluminium. Aluminum. You're losing a syllable. Aluminium. Aluminum. How are you today? I am struggling, America, with our lack of progress. Progress? Progress. Progress. So I wanted to look at another word today, and that word is crisps. They normally come in a bag. They're like fried potato. Potato chips. Well, technically yes, but potato chips we would call chips. Another version of a cooked potato, not quite as thin as a crisp. Like French fries? Comment? Qu'est-ce que c'est 10 French fries? Honestly, I have no idea. I am at a loss at this stage, to be honest.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Legion Cage AdoptAPet.com theater. My name is Scotty, also known as EBC, and this is the EBC UK versus US special. I have gathered together the most brilliant minds from across the interwebs to help me determine what the hell is going on between our two countries. But first, Legion Cage, AdoptAPet.com theater. That's right. This is our sponsor for this month, well, 2 months currently. But Legion Cage, who may or may not be on the screen at this moment. I don't know. He's incognito at the time. He would request that you go to AdoptAPet.com, search for your local shelter, and you might be able to, like, give a forever home to a pet in need. So he would appreciate it. Just go check that out. And if you would like to be a sponsor of the EBC channel, just head on over to our website. The Patreon is available at the $10 a month level. You can become a sponsor, even if it's just for a month. But you can, share your message with the world, something that's important to you. And we change up our sponsors every once in a while. All right. So, to my right is the beautiful blue-haired Squidge, who also goes by the fantastic pen name LL McRae. And let me do this right here. No, that's
Scotty,
not.
I can handle that.
Well, you can, but you're not, so fuck you. There you go. I'm slow on the upkeep, so, yeah, go follow her. She's like the most world-renowned writer on the face of the planet regarding dragons. Like, if you like stories about dragons, she's got 10 million stories ready to go for you that are dragon-like. And she has graced us with her presence here. And then the other guy from across the pond, some low-life scum that just, hobo wandered in off of the street, some guy named Iznib, who he was streaming earlier. And he just like complete polar opposite of Squidge. Squidge is like beyond reproach. Iznib is the definition of reproach. And
I heard you wanted a British geezer, Scotsworth.
Exactly.
So, look, we've got to cover the whole spectrum, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
You mucker. So, that's what we're going to do.
Boy, that accent's like even worse than your normal one.
There's nothing wrong with my accent, Scotty. I don't have one.
And then,
all right, I'm very proud to not have one. Okay.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that. Accents.
Indeed.
And then all the way at the end, the beautiful Mr. Clean Cage himself has graced us with his presence as well to help me remember everything that I forget about my own country that I live in, because, I don't know. It's so weird because, sometimes, like, Squidge was just going to Madrid not too long ago, and I believe that's in Spain. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But, traveling is such a weird thing sometimes, because you go to a place and it's a different culture or a different language, and, you're dealing with all of those things, and it is sometimes just that different aspect of it is very unsettling, or maybe even familiar to some degree. Like, you come across something and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly like it is where I live, so we're just gonna have a nice casual conversation and discuss some of these things, the differences between the United Kingdom and the United States. So I first want to start with this. I'm pretty sure you two live in fairly different areas of Britain. So can you tell us each, starting with Squidge, a little bit about, like, things that are more specific to your area of where you live?
Wow, that's a tough question. I would say that Iz and I are probably from relatively similar. I mean, we're both from the south,
Okay.
for a start. So the bigger differences in the UK are definitely north and south, for sure.
Okay.
But I didn't always live where I live. I've kind of moved away from that. So I live in. This is really not going to help whatever ideas you may have about me. um, I live in a really tiny little village in the middle of the countryside, and it's very typically English. Lots of stone houses and thatched roofs, and it's very, very nice. Caveat: I do not own my house. We would not be able to afford to buy a house here. We rent.
Okay.
But I live in a really quiet area of the UK. I live in an area in between two hills, I guess. One is called the Cotswolds, and one is called the Chilterns. And so it's a very, if you like Google like English village, you're going to see the kind of houses that I live near, not in, mind you, but near. So it's very rural, but probably not in the US sense of rural. Like I can't get anything delivered to me. Like I can't order a pizza to be delivered to me. I have to go and get it. They won't deliver to me. It's very quiet. There's no street lights on my street.
So country.
Yeah, country. I think there's like 800 people in my village, so it's not tiny.
Yeah.
And I'm about 20 minutes from a town, kind of in any direction. But yeah, I live in a very quiet, sort of picturesque looking place, which I get is a privilege. I haven't grown up here by any means. I just like moved here. So yeah, just like the stone, the rolling hills, lots of wildlife, lots of farms, that kind of thing is where I am at the moment, but not always.
Well, and see, that's probably one of the things that's very similar. Like we've got our major cities here, and anything outside of those major cities is mostly farmland and small towns and things like that. Now, Iznib, I know, is a sea dog. He lives on a boat in the middle of the ocean. No, he's pretty damn close to the coast. Don't you live on like a peninsula or something?
Yeah, I do, Scotty. So I live in a town called Gosport, which is essentially a very large peninsula. It's just west of the closest major city, which is Portsmouth. I've only lived in Gosport, I don't know, maybe 6 years or so. And years previous to that, I've lived in the city of Portsmouth, and I've lived in that. They call it the Solent, which is like Portsmouth and all surrounding areas. Since I was 8. Before that, I lived up north, as Squidge was alluding to there. That's the main difference. I definitely noticed that difference when I was 8 years old and moved down here. Let me tell you, that was an interesting experience. But I don't really consider myself a northerner now, because obviously I'm integrated down here. And so Portsmouth is like an historical naval city, Scotty. A lot of history there. So I do live near the ocean, but I don't really think about it so much. It's not like you will hear seagulls flying around in the morning, and I suppose if you're not used to that, that's like you'd be like, oh my god, there's seagulls around. I don't even hear them anymore. Nobody pays any attention to them. But I guess it's just where you're, what you're used to.
Well, see, now that's like me. I definitely live in not the core of the city of Cleveland, Ohio, but like one of the closer suburbs. I'm like maybe 7 miles from downtown Cleveland, and in the place that I live, there is railroad tracks that are very much frequented, literally 3 houses away. So that 5 a.m. train doesn't even wake me up anymore.
Okay, got used to it. Yeah.
I mean, it's like maybe a standard suburb, except my house was built in 1930, so the houses are fairly close together. Like you basically have house, driveway, strip of grass that's 3 feet wide on the next house, and it's like that all the way down the street. And I also live in one of the most populated cities per square mile in America that isn't like a major metropolis. So like the population is very high compared to the actual amount of space, but most of that is because it's row upon row. I mean, there are probably, I don't know, 80 streets that are each a mile long in my part of the city that have nothing but duplexes and triplexes next to each other. So parking's always been like a huge issue in my area because everybody's parking on the street, plus the driveways, you know. Now Cage is a little bit different. Like he lives in a smaller town, but why don't you tell us some about like your area?
Okay. So like it I don't know. This area that I live in. I live in an area called Perry Township. It's right between two, cities, Canton and Massillon. And I don't know. Like, see, you got like Scotty. You've lived up in Cleveland. I don't consider it a small town. Like, to me,
That's true. It's not
very
really a small
populated.
town. Yeah.
Like, I know it's not populated like Cleveland is either. So, like, that's the weird thing about it.
Cleveland, I believe the actual city Cleveland proper has just about 1 million people in it, and then if you include like the rest of the county, the outlying suburbs in that, it goes up to about 1.8 million just in the Cleveland area. And then you live in Akron Canton area that if I recall correctly, that's got somewhere around like 800 to 900,000 in the whole county. So yeah, it's not quite as populated as Cleveland, but it definitely is not, above like a small town area.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of like, so my town, like the area I live in, is kind of becoming a bit of a tourist trap, even really. Like in Cleveland, they have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
Right.
Science Center, major football team, baseball team, basketball team.
Akron Canton has the football Hall of Fame down there.
Yes, actual football, not soccer.
Yeah,
like
not this
the other
crazy
two
UK crap
call.
I don't know.
But like,
What's you talking about here? I thought you've got football and American football.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
And rugby, which is unarmored American football.
no, it's football, soccer, and rugby. And
See, now,
one of those
but
three
that's
is really boring.
but in true American fashion, our name has almost nothing to do with what it actually is, because football, soccer, you use your foot to kick the frickin' ball. In American football, you don't use your feet at all except to run. So
That's
like-
not true. You kick the goal. You kick the ball between
that's
the uprights.
true. That's right. You punt it, but really, there's more catching, there's more passing, there's more scrambling, and trying to wrestle and kick the shit out of each other on the field.
Yes, it's more entertaining than soccer. Exactly, you got it.
So that is one big difference that I've found, at least sporting wise. I mean, Americans are almost unilaterally focused on baseball, football, and basketball, and Europeans, sports wise, you're more into soccer and what else? What am I missing? What, like
Rugby.
rugby?
Yeah, that's a bit more niche, though, wouldn't you say, Squidge?
Well, I mean, I say that, but you've got the Six Nations rugby, which is such a huge thing,
Yeah, that's true.
and
It's a huge thing. I've never heard of it.
well, yeah, because you're not one of the Six Nations, so it wouldn't. I feel I correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear that in the US, it's only you guys that call it soccer. Everywhere else in the world calls it football. So I feel like the
1-0.
majority wins, and it should be called football. But yeah, you've got rugby here, tennis, I guess, but I don't know. I think it really is just football is the main thing here, and if you don't like that, maybe rugby, maybe cricket, maybe half a dozen other things. But anyone who's into sports is it's going to be football. It's like a national religion for a lot of people.
All right, but okay, all right. So we're talking about the complaint about calling it football, right? All right.
Not complaint, just
So well, okay. The difference about calling it something that it has almost to do with. There are no crickets in the game cricket. Let me just point that out, okay?
It depends where you play, Cage.
There might be crickets. You could.
There might be,
throw
unless
a
you're
whole
going
bunch
through
of
the
crickets onto
grass,
the
looking,
field.
making sure they're definitely not there. They might be.
But they're not directly involved with the game.
And what about bowling? Like over here, bowling is taking about a 11 or 12-pound bowling ball and throwing it down a waxed lane at a bunch of pins. And isn't it in the UK? Isn't it more like a lawn game?
No, that's bowls.
Yeah.
Bowls.
Bowls?
That's what you
Bowls.
make
Yeah.
soup with.
Okay. If you say to anyone about going bowling, it's what you described. That's what they're going to go to.
Okay.
And is far more popular and prevalent, although
Yes.
maybe not as much as it is for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And going to a bowling green is really just for old people. It's not super popular. Yes, it's a thing, but if you say bowling to 100 people in the UK, all of them are going to think of bowling with the pins. I know you call it 10-pin bowling to differentiate, but yeah, it's basically the same thing here. But there is another similarly named sport for very old people to play on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't think I've ever heard it called 10-pin bowling, at least not in common usage here.
Oh, that's interesting.
But we do have it becoming more popular in, I'd say, the last 10 years. I think what they would commonly refer to as pin bowling specifically, and that is more of like almost a tabletop game. It's a lane that's raised up off of the floor and about half the length of a normal bowling lane. And that's more like a pub type deal. There's a lot of bars here that have been instituting that more as like a gaming option for patrons. So yeah, there's at least as far as like normal United States bowling goes, it's just bowling, and that's the standard on the floor waxed lane. So,
I think there's definitely, I get the sense there's far more enthusiasm for bowling for you guys. Not as not in general maybe, but maybe you guys in particular might just see it in the same light as me and Squidge do. Like over here, it's definitely just a fun thing to go and do with your friends occasionally. Maybe it's someone's birthday, maybe it's just whatever. But I get the sense, maybe on a very small scale, but there are like bowling enthusiasts in the United States. Like it's a niche sport / hobby that people really get into. I'd be shocked if we found anybody over here who was like well into it. I mean, there must be.
Like a professional bowler in the UK, you don't really think that they would exist?
I mean, I'm sure there's like 2 dudes who are well into it somewhere. I don't know who they are.
All right, so what would be the state of baseball, American style baseball, or American style football, or American style basketball in the UK? Non-existent.
I think we had some basketballs at school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about the extent of that.
So a childhood game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we definitely played it in school, but there's no, as far as I'm aware, and correct me if you know, Squidge. There's no like amateur leagues or anything. I remember seeing very rarely, like on a Sunday afternoon, as a kid on terrestrial television, they would randomly show like basketball games, or like really like in the early hours of the morning from your guys, neck of the woods. What basketball games they were and why, I don't know. I guess they just had a slot they needed to fill. But definitely no American football. Definitely no baseball.
No.
We would play something called rounders at school, which is kind of or softball, which is like knockoff baseball. Essentially the same kind of thing, but I think what the issue is, Scotty, is and I don't know if this is what the cultural history of this would necessarily be, but America as a whole, you guys are generally just more into sports.
Okay.
You do more sports at school. You have like scholarships for sports.
Right.
There's more money behind it. There's more interest in it. That's just not the case over here in the UK. There's like no, like you guys have wrestling in school.
Yeah.
God, yeah. Why don't we have that? I would have loved that. I would have loved to do that, but that's just not a thing that exists over here.
So when you were in school, what sports programs were available as electives?
Nothing. You would have,
Nothing.
and I assume this would be the same for you, Squid. Again, correct me if it was different. You would have an hour and a half, 2 hours of PE, physical education a week, and they just make you do some stuff. Might be football, okay, quite often. Might be basketball occasionally. They might make you just go out and run round the town for a bit. But there was no there's no scholarships. There's no there's nothing in school or to kind of encourage, or there's no money in it. There's nothing. If I chose a sport and wanted to get into it, one of my friends, his lads, getting into football, trying to become a professional footballer. It's all on you and your parents. You have to go out of your way. You have to put the money in and the time and the effort. The education system is not only not helping, but there's no avenues for them to help you. It's kind of sucks, honestly, when I think now I've said all that.
Well, I feel like there's something to be said about that though too, because kind of circling back around to where I live, there is the local high school in one of the cities. That city, Massillon, used to have one of the first professional American football teams here, and the city is obsessed with football. And I'm talking obsessed with football. They call themselves the City of Champions. They haven't won a championship in, I don't know, 30 years. And we're just talking school, but they still call themselves that. They haven't won the football championship in forever. They have an NFL-sized stadium. Like, I know you guys probably don't pay close attention to it, but you've probably seen an NFL stadium at some point in your life. For a high school, it's just insane. For years, they wouldn't go to away games because the other schools' stadiums could not even support their season ticket holders, let alone the other team wanting their people to come. They are just so blindly obsessed. And I remember back when I was in high school, they were under a lot of controversy because they were actively recruiting kids from other schools to come to that school and be there, so that they could play on their football team. And they got a lot of stuff coming at them because there was talk about that they were floating the grades for them, so that way they were still actually eligible to play, because you do have to maintain a certain academic standard in order to be able to play sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were completely recruiting that, because I remember it was my sophomore year, and I was in band. So I was in the marching band, and we had to attend the pep rally. And I remember the captain of the football team comes out, and this is the first time we're playing them in probably 10 years, because they got removed from our local, they call it the Federal League. And he comes out and he's like, let me just really talk to you guys about who we're playing tomorrow. And he just throws out this half a mile long list, and he starts just reading off every single local school, because they were recruiting from all these schools in the area. And it's just like to hear that you guys don't really have those kind of organized sports as part of
Just
school curriculum.
Just to give you an idea, the Super Bowl is the most watched sporting event in America for, I don't know, the last 600 years. In 2021, still dealing with COVID stuff, they raised a revenue of $485 million just in ad sales. Like the people that want to advertise during the Super Bowl because it is so watched.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I got here.
Oh, what is it? What is it? It was like $1 million for a 30-second ad.
Let's see here. Average cost for ad space reached $5.6 million on average for 30 seconds.
Oh wow.
Double the cost of what it was in 2010, which is $2.7 million.
Wow.
So imagine you've got advertisers that are spending, upwards of 20, $30 million just for little 30-second ad spots during the Super Bowl because it's that watched. Let me see if I got something real quick here on viewership. Most expensive Super Bowl commercial ever was Tide, 90 seconds each for 84 Lumber, which is just a lumber yard around here, and Ford, 16.2 million each. Most watched Super Bowl looks like we've got 121 million people watch the Super Bowl in 2021.
A lot.
Yeah. So, it's huge, and you're right. I mean, I've noticed that before, that sports is so huge in America. Not only the scholarships, but the drive. Like, I mean, not only do you have people that are able to play a game and scouts recognize them and say, hey, we'll give you a full ride at this college if you just come play for us, because that's revenue for them. But you also have from early grade school on, people getting involved, as extracurricular activities, these sporting events. So that kind of surprised me that you were saying, basically in school you don't really get involved in extracurricular sports because there's just no structure there. We've got all the fucking structure. I mean, it's like every single school has a baseball team, a basketball team, wrestling team, football, and then there's other things usually in addition to that, depending on how much money the school has or how many students they have that are interested in that sort of thing. Golf, just any. I mean, hell, my school had a chess championship league, and we'd go on to do state championships for that sort of thing. All the schools have this kind of structure set up for that.
I feel like the US is inherently more competitive, and that kind of filters down through sports in like at college level and high school and all the way down to when the kids are very young, because it's like Isnib said, we don't really have that in regular schools. If you want to play football, you need to go find a club outside and you need to do the events and pay for your own kit and pay for your own boots and all of that and hope that a scout finds you. But we also have private schools here,
right,
where you pay, and most of us don't do that. But in those schools, they do have more focus on academic stuff, but there is sports as well. But it's like the weird sports that only rich people play, like polo and lacrosse and other sports that I can't think of right now that regular people don't do. But they do push them, and I'm fairly certain they have tournaments and scholarships to certain universities and what have you. But it's very much a pay-to-play system, whether you can go to a paying school or whether you can pay for, if you've got 2 or 3 kids that want to do it, that's 2 or 3 times worth of kit you've got to buy, and new boots and equipment, and taking them to matches and games and practices. And usually it's, there's a volunteer, like one of the parents' dads, one of the kids' dads is the coach. So it's very much off your own back. And if you're lucky enough to be spotted, then maybe you can get a scholarship to a particular uni, because there are sports unis, like Loughborough is a very big one on sports, but it's so niche. If you don't know, then you don't know. Whereas I feel like for you guys, any kid at any age can just pick something that you like, and there'll be opportunities there. And
I mean, there's still pay to play here, but yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities, especially depending, like if you live in the city, there's far more opportunities for getting involved in extracurricular activities because of the wide range of what the student interests are, or the larger the student population. But let's move on from sports now. Let's start talking about some food, because that's my favorite subject. That's where I got my svelte figure from. And the first thing I want to ask you about is, what the hell do you call jelly?
We call it jelly. Of course we call it jelly. Why we wouldn't call it anything else?
But isn't there like several different things? Like all we have.
Oh, you mean jam?
Yeah. See, that's what. Describe jam for me, please.
It's what. Yeah. Do they not have jam, Squidge?
I think they do, but they call it jelly and we call it jam. And what we call jelly, they call Jello.
Yes, that is correct.
I don't know if that's a brand or if that's just what you call it.
Well, see, we have jelly and jam and preserves, and they're all the same freaking thing.
And
yeah,
chutney.
Yeah.
They literally are pretty much all the same thing, except for that one, Jello, which is actual gelatin mixed with whatever flavoring, and that's completely different from the rest of it. So what do you call that over there?
We call that jelly.
Yeah, that's the dessert. Have it with ice cream.
That's not jelly, though.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, we'll have to agree to disagree on this one, Sky.
Yeah. So, like, if you have like a PB&J, we would call that a peanut butter and jam sandwich.
Okay.
Not a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because if you were to put that dessert in a sandwich with peanut butter, it would be disgusting.
That would be pretty gross.
But any idea where the name jelly for what we call Jello, where that came from?
Who can say?
I mean, even gelatin is spelled with a G, not a J, so I'm not sure.
Well, I think for us, Scotty, to kind of take a wild stab, I think for us, it's literally because there was a brand that decided to make instant gelatin at home in 30 seconds, and they just decided to call themselves Jello, so now everyone just calls it Jello.
No, I get that, and see, that's to me, that's kind of like the difference between what is that, a hot tub and a jacuzzi. All jacuzzis are hot tubs, but not all hot tubs are jacuzzi, because it's a brand name. So that's cool, but I mean, apparently some of that has crossed over the pond, because you call it jelly as we would call it Jello, or if you're proper, we'd call it gelatin. But where did that jelly name come from? Unless you were also kind of getting it from the Jello brand name and just putting your own weird English spin with the Y at the end.
No, I don't think we definitely don't have it as a brand over here. I can't really think of any like jelly brands.
No, I just get like the shop's own one, and it just comes in like a hard lump, and you mix it with hot water, put it in the fridge, and then you've got jelly 20 minutes later. I don't know the etymology. That's a good question.
I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. In that same vein, let's talk about what was in the beginning there. The potato chips versus French fries that you call chips. You call crisps what we call potato chips, and then I believe there's also a baked potato that you call something weird ass over there.
Jacket potato.
Yeah, a jacket potato.
Jacket
Yeah.
potato.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jack and potato. What?
No, jacket. Because
Yeah, not
apparently,
jacket.
apparently the
Yeah.
Harvey
spud
Cage.
is wearing a sweater or something along
Yeah.
those lines.
Yeah, we don't call them sweaters either. They're jumpers, which is really
Yeah.
confusing when I was reading books written by American authors. I was like, what the hell is a sweater? I have no idea what this is. I didn't know what bangs were for the longest time, and then I learned it was your fringe. That confused me. But yeah.
In fairness, I didn't know what a jumper was. Like watching the Harry Potter movies, and like, you know, I think it was Ginny Weasley's talking about like asking her mom where's her jumper at, and I'm like,
You know, she got a pet frog.
jumper.
What's going on? What?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
No, yeah, and that kind of doesn't really necessarily make sense, but that's what we've always called it.
I mean, in fairness, like a sweater doesn't really make sense either.
No.
Like I get that.
Yeah.
But neither does a jumper. Do you jump
No,
around in
it's
it?
all right.
Like
Neither team gets any points for this one.
I'm going to put on this knit wool shirt that is like, you know, very warm and all that. I'm going to jump around because that's what you do with the, you know.
It's
I mean-
so weird.
Yeah, who knows? But yes, jacket potato. Yeah, maybe it seems silly to you, Cage, but I guess the idea is because obviously the skin, you know, kind of crisps up a little bit. It's, you know, and then you cut into it.
I
You're,
kinda
it's
get
like
that.
taking his jacket off, opening his jacket up. I don't know. It's
You're gonna make,
baked potato makes more sense. I will admit.
you're gonna
well,
make
that-
love to that potato.
I mean, you know, let it cool down a little bit
Slowly
first,
peels
maybe.
jacket
But
off. Well, you know, Isn't you said that a baked potato makes sense. The name baked potato makes
Yes,
sense.
it does.
It does make sense. But like in the opening trailer, you know, with the I don't know what those skits are called, but like with the funny faces,
Yeah.
you know, on the islands there, talked about America oversimplifying things. I mean, that's 100% oversimplifying it. It's a potato, and you baked it in the oven.
this is true. This
So,
is true. I'll have to take this up with the, you know, the 3 generations older than me. But you know, I don't. I'll have to see what they have to say about that. But yeah, kind of V. Yeah, V say yeah, potato skins. No, we do have potato skins, but I think they're probably less popular over here than they are for you guys for whatever reason.
Well, a potato skin, like if you go to a bar or a restaurant and you order a potato skin, what they will deliver to you is a potato that's cut in half long ways. So you're literally getting, you know, splayed like this, except you're only getting a half. Although it depends on how you order it. Sometimes they give you 2, sometimes 4, and they're smaller. And they will
Yeah.
scoop some of the potato meat out, fluff it up, and put it back in, and then top it with bacon,
Yeah.
cheese, onions, things like that. So
Yeah.
that's the same over
Making
there?
me hungry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least
Although you normally get the small ones, but not
Yeah.
the whole one. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at least
Same thing.
we got something
Again, I'd say
similar
they're
there.
possibly less popular though. Like from what you were saying there, Scott, it's almost like you know, if you went into a random bar or restaurant and they didn't have potato skins on the menu, you'd be like, what kind of crazy place is this? Whereas for us, if you saw them on the menu somewhere, you'd be like, oh wow, potato skins, awesome. That's a nice surprise. That's my interpretation of it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, your potato chips crisps.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll be able to come to terms on this one.
And at the very least, you know, like, because we have a couple of different kinds. We've got like regular potato chips, which are straight. Then we've got wavy chips, which have kind of like a crosshatch cut. We've got kettle chips, which are like extra crispy.
Yeah.
And then there's all the variations of like corn chips and tortilla chips, things like that. So like, what are the different varieties over there? Or you have 0 varieties, right?
Yeah, no, we have all the same variety. We just, we don't think up fancy names. They're all just crisps.
Yeah, they're all crisps. Although
Yeah,
Pringles are the fancy ones. They're the
yes,
because
this is true.
yeah.
Ooh,
Uh,
Pringles are the fancy chips. In that
Crisps.
side.
Yeah, I think
Crisps,
I
I'm
think there's some
sorry.
exception, isn't there, in the some certain types of crisp or potato chips, if you prefer, or like corn chips, snack, whatever they're made of. If they're of a certain type, you probably would just refer to them as the brand. For example, like Pringles or Doritos. You
Yeah.
know, you might be like, "Oh, I'm having some Doritos." You wouldn't say, "I'm having some crisps that happen to be Doritos." You know, you'd probably just refer them to them as the brand.
Yeah,
Generally
like,
speaking.
yeah. I'm having a packet of Whatsits or
Yeah,
Quavers.
exactly.
Wait,
Exactly,
wait, wait,
Switch.
wait, wait. What the hell is a what's it?
I guess you guys would maybe call them cheese puffs.
Ah, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, they are a brand. Yeah, or
Watsits versus
Yeah.
Cheetos. Okay.
Yeah, Whatsits, but with an O, like what? Whatsits. Yeah.
yeah.
That's not how you spell what.
Like that, yeah. You
What's
named a
it?
crisp after it.
Don't like what's this, mate? God.
See, now to
They're
me that
less
looks like
crunchy than a Cheeto and have more delicate cheese flavor.
Yes, possibly. Although they're quite strongly cheesy flavored. Although I like strong flavored stuff like that. So maybe I would like. We do have Cheetos over here. They're just
Do
less prevalent. Yeah, Squidge has never seen them. Out in the boonies.
yeah, that looks like the regular puffed Cheetos.
Pretty
The
much.
the kind that Steph doesn't like.
But yeah, what you guys call a French fries, we also have French fries, and we probably may call them fries, possibly, but they are under the chips umbrella. Now, what we have as chips, I think you guys just don't have them because you just have because French fries are so prevalent and so beloved, and you just have French fries. I think
See that at least I've readily heard of. Like it's prevalent in media and wherever else. You know, you watch a movie that's got British actors in it, or it takes place in Britain. They'll refer to like fish and chips.
Yes.
Well, you go to most restaurants, and most restaurants will have fish and chips on the menu.
Yeah,
it's actually called fish and chips.
Yeah, we will emulate that aspect of it, especially if there's like a European or British theme to the restaurant.
But if you have in the US a restaurant that has like a theme and they are offering fish and chips, what kind of chips are they? Are they what you would call French fries, or are they any thicker or different to regular? Because the chips we have here for fish and chips are quite specific, and I don't know if that translates.
I think for the most part, what they would refer to as chips on a menu like that is probably going to be closest to like a steak fry. Otherwise, we would call it.
Yeah.
It's like a thicker fry or like a double width fry.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's a little bit of shape to it otherwise, like a wavy cut or something like that, depending on how they actually produce it. But we have, we probably have like 40,000 different ways to produce a fry here. I mean, you've got, straight cut, wavy cut, waffle fries, seasoned fries, curly fries, just anything you can imagine.
And they're all fries to you?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
We just call them all fries.
Okay.
And of course, then maybe you want to like differentiate between different kinds. Like, definitely there's a difference between waffle fries and curly fries. But they also sometimes have like different tastes, different textures, and definitely different seasonings if they add a seasoning.
Yeah. So it sounds like we essentially have exactly the same thing. It's just maybe there's more emphasis for you guys, and you just use the catch-all term for fries.
Yeah.
Whereas we use the catch-all term chips, and then fries we call your specific French fries, which I assume would be the most common.
So
You know,
you do
like you have at McDonald's or whatever.
So you do use the term fries, and that would be like a standard, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
maybe
What if
3
you
or
go to
4 inch
McDonald's?
straight cut.
Yeah, and they've got to be skinny. They're not
Yeah.
fries if they're not skinny. Yeah.
Yeah, but we would probably call them like if I don't know whether you guys have a lot of frozen chips or oven chips or fries. If you were to get like oven chips that are frozen, you would call like the very skinny ones like skinny fries maybe. Otherwise, it's just oven chips, and they might have a crinkle in them, or they might still have their skins on, or they might be wedges. But we would only call the very thin, skinny ones like fries, and absolutely nothing. Oh, and curly fries, of course, but nothing else.
So then we also have one that's like super skinny that are called shoestring fries. And those are a lot more rare to especially see on like a restaurant thing, but you can buy them in the store. And
Wow, they sound awesome.
They're as thin as like a shoestring. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, please.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'd end up just burning them though. That's a problem. It'd be too skinny.
The one restaurant we have over here that's called Steak and Shake. I know it's not the greatest food really, but they're the ones that are popular for shoestring fries.
But like steaks and milkshakes, or
yeah, they do steak burgers. So their burgers are made out of a higher quality, even though it tastes like shit. Steak meat, ground steak, basically, and milkshakes and shoestring fries, and that's pretty much it.
I want to try that.
especially also here in the Midwest, what else otherwise we would refer to as the Rust Belt. There's a local, I don't want to say delicacy, just kind of like a food normal here that we call chili five-way, and that is, Cage loves it. A bed of cooked plain spaghetti noodles,
right,
topped with American style chili, which is beans in roughly a tomato sauce, onions, ground beef, something like that, and then topped with cheese and onions. And Steak and Shake is also known for that, at least in our area, the chili five-way. That's more of a Cincinnati thing, but just about anything up in this area that
sounds fine to me. That's just chili, but with spaghetti rather than rice.
Yeah.
Right. Wait. Whoa. Hold on. Rice. You eat spaghetti with rice?
No. Chili with rice.
Oh, well, even then, chili with rice. That's.
Yeah. What else would you have it with?
Yeah. What? Yeah. What? Yeah. What have we discovered here?
In the U.S., chili is more considered kind of like a soup type item. You get a bowl and you just put the chili in the bowl and you eat the chili.
Oh, okay.
That's like having spaghetti bolognese without the pasta.
Well, and if you're going to have something with the chili, you're going to have either like Fritos or tortillas or other types of like corn-based
crackers,
crisps.
No,
and
that's weird.
Interesting.
Occasionally Texas toast, which is very thick cut grilled bread.
It's kind of like garlic bread, Squidge.
Yeah.
I only discovered this recently.
Okay.
No garlic though.
Oh, okay.
It can still have garlic.
But not.
Yeah, but I mean that's not typical. And corn muffins.
Interesting.
Corn bread. Yeah, that's what we would eat with chili.
You wouldn't have it with rice.
No.
So your chili's more like just soup or stew. But
yeah.
Stew.
It's
would be the best.
Yeah, it's a thicker stew-like consistency.
So it's more watery than it is like flavored mince with all the beans and everything in it.
No, okay. So if you were to mix that with rice, that would be more like gumbo here. It's like a southern, like New Orleans style food. that
Wow.
is essentially chili mixed with rice.
I mean, like when I feel like we've stumbled upon something really weird. When we make a pot of chili, which we usually call chili con carne, but everyone just shortens it to chili. You would make a pot of that, and you would make rice, and then you would just spoon them both on a plate or a bowl. And I guess you'd mix it in your mouth, but like, or some people would mix it on their plate, but it's normally like two separate things
Yeah.
on the plate.
Yeah.
Or like I think Spectacle in the chat said with a jacket potato, you would put the chili on top of the potato, baked potato.
Now we do that. Yes, like Wendy's here would regularly put it can have that as an option on your baked jacket potato is putting chili on or cheese or broccoli or something like that.
But you don't want their chili.
No, yeah, Wendy's chili is terrible. But as far as like, there would be no, you have a bowl of chili and a side of rice. That doesn't happen. If you put it together, that's more closer to gumbo or jambalaya, which is very specific to New Orleans style food.
My mind is blown by this chili description.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, Squidge.
Yeah.
What? The things you find out.
Well, Short and Sweet said it in chat there. Like, it doesn't sound like it would be bad. It's just strange to us. Like,
Yeah,
honestly,
no, it's
like
good.
I like rice, and I'm not a huge chili fan. I usually eat it like in the winter time. Usually right around Christmas, my family will do an event, and there's chili at the event.
Nice.
And like I take mine, and my dad makes it. He doesn't make it with a ton of beans. Like, there are some beans in there, but he makes it more with like ground beef in there, like a higher concentration of ground beef. And like I'll take a bunch of like they're called oyster crackers. They're just crackers in little, like kind of like supposed to look like oyster.
Yeah,
it's like throw them in there.
It's like a hex shape, but similar to a saltine without the salt.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a saltine?
Okay.
Type
I don't know what a
cracker?
saltine is.
Look it up.
I think they're like our Ritz crackers.
No,
Okay.
we have a
No, we
Ritz.
have Ritz crackers.
We have a Ritz.
Are they not,
and that's
then?
totally different from a saltine.
Oh.
Let's find this out.
I'm
What?
googling it. That looks interesting. That just looks like a type of cracker. Not a Ritz, but yeah.
But it's a very different texture from like a Ritz
Yes.
cracker.
Very different. Yeah.
And oyster crackers are the same type of makeup, except they don't have the salt, and they always come in this hexagonal shape.
Ooh.
Okay.
They look like they should have cheese.
That's like a traditional thing to put in chili, oyster crackers, or you can eat it with saltines, but
Interesting.
I'm learning
Yeah,
something.
no, like if I, knowing this now, I think that I would agree with Short and Sweet. That'd be really good. Instead of using like a bunch of oyster crackers, maybe still use a couple for some like crunch in there, but throw some rice down, throw some chili on it.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of having it any other way.
Me neither.
Let me ask you, how do you prepare the rice? Is it just a plain steamed white rice?
Yeah, or you could flavor it, like you could, like put in some coriander or whatever into it. But yeah, it's normally a base of plain white rice or jasmine rice, something like that.
Okay. That's interesting. See, because we also, more often than not, if you're having rice in America, it's either going to be a Spanish rice with, Mexican spices in there, an Asian style rice that's typically like a fried rice or something like that, and sticky rice, which is used for sushi. And that's about it. We typically don't side dish most of our meals with rice unless it's part of that whole genre.
Oh, that's interesting. I buy loads of bags of flavored microwavable rice that's just, they sit in the cupboard. I can make rice normally in like a pat, but like, hang on, I'll go and get it. 1 second. I have a few.
Yeah, it's because it's they're quite. Well, seemingly, rice is far more of a thing over here than it is for you guys. For here, it's kind of
I
like
think
seen
so.
as a staple.
Yeah,
So we'd rather go with potatoes or maybe some noodles.
So like a packet of rice.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah,
we
we
have
got
those.
and that's, we'll probably say potato is more like my go-to. I probably have rice just as much as I have pasta, as far as that. But yeah.
You mean pasta? Not bad.
Also, you call
That's what
them
she said,
noodles.
Sky.
You
What
call
is
them
it?
noodles. All of them are noodles. So I've seen so many like US recipes or YouTube videos when they're like, cook your lasagna noodles, and it's like, but it's a sheet of pasta. Why would you call it a noodle? A noodle is just like a long thing, and it's like a really weird. It always
It's
catches
long
me
and thin in one of the directions. It's just thick in the other direction.
off. Okay,
Yeah, look,
clarify. Thank you, Cage.
a noodle, technically, although I guess if we're talking pasta, is spaghetti, and like noodle, I think of being more Asian. But
Yes.
you know, if we're conflating the two, noodle is a type of pasta. Pasta is not a type of noodle.
Yes, is. I agree with you 100%. Like,
What
if
we
I
do-
think
what
of
we do there,
noodles,
folks?
I think of like egg noodles that you get in a Chinese dish, not Italian-style pasta.
Yeah, like if I go to Cage's house, and he's like, "Yo, look, I've made you some noodles." I'm like, "Excellent," and he gives me lasagna. I'm like, "Thanks for the
I'd say I made you a
lasagna."
lasagna then.
Now, to be fair,
Yeah,
right. But to be fair, yeah, I mean, the only time we use lasagna noodles, so to speak, is in lasagna. We don't use it for anything else.
No, but it sounds wild you saying that, Scotty.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing about that is in America we probably don't nearly use as much fresh pasta as other parts of the world. Most of our noodles or pasta comes from dried out, dehydrated basically, and then you boil them to bring them back to life essentially, and it's not nearly like a fresh, like you see, Italian or Asian type of fresh pasta creation. So I would say that probably if it is fresh, it's more often referred to as pasta, and if it's dried out, dehydrated, then we would refer it to noodles
Okay,
Oh, that's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah. So, like,
or spaghetti.
I don't know the specific words, but like the twisty pasta, would you call that you get dry, like in a big bag? You would still refer to that as a noodle because it's dry.
It depends on the application. I think we would we have elbow macaroni.
Yeah.
We have spaghetti, angel hair pasta, and then it's probably differentiated by the type of noodle it is. So like cavatappi or rigatoni or whatever the specific type is that we would take the name from Italian.
Yeah.
So how curious. But yeah, no, I think we're quite similar to you guys in that most pasta is dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
We and if you do come across fresh pasta, we just use the same name for either. But if like someone's I suppose if you went out to a nice restaurant and you had pasta, you expect it to be fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anywhere else, if someone's serving you pasta, you kind of just assume it's going to be the dry stuff, which is fine. I eat it all the time. There's no problem with it.
It still tastes good at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly,
Lots of
Paige, and that's
cheese.
what matters. If talking about food specifically, I'd put a few things down, changing it up slightly. Yeah, and I guess this is kind of similar to everything else we've talked about. What you guys call cookies, me and Squidge call biscuits, and a cookie is a specific type of biscuit, which is obviously very popular. Do you guys have biscuits? Or have you even heard that word before?
You want to handle that, Cage?
How would we describe a biscuit so that way?
Okay, so
You
first
guys
of
could
all,
know what they are.
a biscuit is a southern food. it's popular all over, but I mean it's a very uniquely South United States food because it's recognized in like a genre of what we would call comfort food. So in
Mhm.
comfort food, you're going to have fried chicken, macaroni and cheese. You're going to have collard greens. You're going to have waffles. Sometimes chicken and waffles. That's a very uniquely comfort food. I know it's weird, but it's a thing.
Sounds good. You're never
Uh,
gonna find it over here, but
and then biscuits are typically sausage gravy and biscuits, but there's other forms of it. So it's made with just like any other type of bread, except buttermilk is used in traditional biscuits, and it's very light and fluffy. And you can crack it open, and then you would like spoon over it a gravy that's just chock full of cooked sausage, and not your type of sausage either. It's a almost like a ground beef that is highly seasoned and sometimes very hot, depending on how you're doing it. But like a southern sausage gravy is a white pepper gravy made with flour and the juices from the sausage, and then crumbled, almost like American breakfast sausage in there, depending on how you do that. And then they basically give you this slop plate where they crack open the biscuit and pour that mix over top.
And your biscuit is savoury, presumably.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
most of the time. Like you can put people put
Doughy,
jam
buttery,
or jelly. Yeah. Darkly in chat, biscuit is like a particular type of bread roll. It's kind of like it's a good way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of flaky like a croissant. I assume you guys are at least familiar with
Yeah.
croissants.
yes,
Um,
Cage.
and I did
You,
I did throw
you
a link in
heathens,
chat.
are you familiar with croissants over there?
Well, croissants are great.
They're all right.
But yeah,
Lots of
that's-
butter needed in them.
Yeah. So your biscuits sound good. So I guess it's. Darkly said it's kind of like maybe a cross between like a bread roll and like a savoury cookie, maybe.
It's a dinner roll that is extremely
Yeah.
flaky and falls apart easily.
Yeah, I'm kind of imagining it, Squid, just like what we would, and maybe this is something else, what we think of like dumplings you would have in a stew, but mean like dry.
Yeah.
Just
But, I
like
mean-
some bulky, savoury, non-flavoured thing to have with your rich, tasty, meaty sausage gravy.
Yeah.
It's
I
not.
imagine
I
our
mean, if it's
dumplings
done
are
right,
quite
it's
heavy.
not dry.
It's not dry.
It's
Oh, it's-
very moist inside and.
Oh, it's
and
stodgy.
flaky,
Oh,
but-
okay. Maybe it's like a dumpling then.
Mm.
Interesting.
click the link I dropped in chat, and
Excellent.
it'll show you a picture
Maybe-
of
maybe if
what
you-
I'm talking about.
Maybe if you took a dumpling and you baked it.
Ah.
Definitely looks like what we would call scones. But I imagine
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
taste.
there you
A
go.
scone, okay.
Yeah. Or scone.
Yeah.
in
So
a way.
yeah, maybe it is a scone.
It
Yeah.
looks, the shape is very similar, but I don't know. I've never eaten
Well, see,
an American biscuit to tell.
now we have something called a scone here, which is basically a pancake batter made with fried very thin, and then you put a fruit filling inside and wrap it up and cover it with like powdered sugar.
That's a crepe, isn't it?
Yeah, but we also call them scones.
That's
Ah,
so
now,
weird.
what? Now you play my mind, sir.
A crepe is very, very different.
Is
Because
it?
like they maybe use a pancake batter, but they're not
Unless I'm
like
mistaken
treated
on that.
like a pancake. They are definitely more of a dessert type item here for scones. But or like
oh no,
a
I'm wrong about
breakfast
that.
item.
Yeah, he's right. It's a crepe. Yeah, a more of an American scone, I would say, is probably like a
Let's have a look.
almost like a
Oh, interesting.
baked fruit type deal.
Yeah,
like-
basically
like-
it looks the same thing, but it
like a
seems like
biscuit, but fruit throughout.
yeah, you're chucking fruit in yours, which why not? Oh, here we go. What's the difference between American scones and British scones?
Ah,
Let's have a look at this. I'm not going to read the whole article. I'll just see if I can get the.
British scones tend to contain more sugar and fat served with jam and clotted cream, whatever the hell
Yeah.
that is.
that's for afternoon tea.
Oh, clotted cream.
Clotted
the
cream.
best.
That's what that is.
What is clotted cream?
I mean,
It's amazing.
yeah, it's what you have on your scones. I don't know what to say, Cade.
I don't eat scones.
That sounds like a plumbing nightmare. And American biscuits are typically served along savory dishes such as chicken soup and gravy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Clotted cream is. I think it's definitely a British thing and is from Cornwall or Devon usually. Originally, it's a thick cream made by heating full cream cow's milk using steam or a water bath and then leaving it in a shallow pan to cool slowly. It's
It's butter.
super thick and super
It's
rich.
it's not butter.
It's butter. It's freaking
not.
butter.
It's
It's
not
much
butter.
lighter. It's
Yeah.
not.
It seems like,
It's like a
a
whipped
highly
butter.
highly whipped butter, or almost seems similar to like a cream cheese.
It doesn't taste anything like butter or cream cheese. It's
Maybe kind of somewhat similar to cream cheese in consistency, but it does not taste like cheese at all.
yeah.
There's
All
no
butter.
cheese inside. All butter. It
No.
just
What
tastes
does
like
it taste
cream.
like then?
It tastes like cream.
Cream.
Yeah, like super rich. Like it's like
Yeah.
the best cream.
So it's with
You warm up your scone, cut it in half, dollop the cream or jam on first, depending on where you're from, and then the other one, and then you eat it while it's still warm, and it's the tastiest thing ever. Because the scone itself doesn't taste of much, it doesn't have a huge amount of flavour, and that's why you have the clotted cream and the jam.
That does
It's very
look,
specific.
that does look very similar though to what we would call biscuits. Maybe
yeah.
ours is
Yeah.
a little bit more flaky and it's very rich in a buttery taste. So like you saying yours doesn't have that much flavor. Ours definitely
Yeah.
has a rich buttery flavor to it.
Yeah, you wouldn't eat a scone on its own. It would.
Well,
No, you would never do that. Whereas it looks like your guys, it looks
could
perfectly yummy and appetizing just having it as it is.
but traditionally, the way that Squidge, the way that you described eating your scone,
Mhm.
with putting the clotted cream and the jam on there, I mean that's exactly like if you were to not get like biscuits and gravy, like Scotty had talked about. I mean that's how a biscuit would be eaten by itself in the United States would be with butter
Butter or jam, basically.
or jam.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like
Okay.
biscuit cream.
Do either of you, or actually Cage too, all three of you, do you have any immediate plans, or could we extend this a little bit longer than we had
I
originally
can
planned?
I
extend.
can go any amount of time. That doesn't really bother me.
Okay, let me. Yeah, because
Isnib can talk for hours. You know this.
yes, Isnib's been talking since 1985 and never stopped. All right, we're gonna take a short commercial break and come back, and then we'll maybe switch gears and talk about a few other things. So, stay
Good,
tuned.
because I'm really hungry now. Thanks.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for staying with us. So I did want to mention that if you have not yet seen Realms Unknown, the Butterfly Decision, it is now available at the $2 a month level on the EBC Patreon. Just go to our website there, ebc2021.com. If you would like to sign up and support our channel, again, we do not like... you can do Twitch subscriptions and cheering bits, but we prefer that if you want to support us financially, that's the way you do that. And that's why I also set up a minimum $2 level for that purpose. And you get access to the entire EBC archive, which goes back a year now, to June of 2021. Almost all of our shows are there listed, and you have access to everything. and I regularly update that with all the shows that we do here. So if you've ever been interested in going back and seeing what's available, it's all right there. And including this one, I have a section designed there that is for audio dramas and specials. So, like, anytime we do a special like this, or like when we did the Halloween special last October with Whitney, anything like that is in that section. And yeah, it's fun. Hell, I like going back and seeing some of the shows that we've done over the last year, and it's quite a bit of fun and entertainment that is available. And I should also mention here now that this is our first show back after I was taking a good almost 4-week break there, getting things in order, taking just a general mental rest from everything that's related to that. I still haven't quite caught up on things. Like I still have yet to go in there and in the conflux, I need to revamp our leaderboard channel there and deal with the gaming challenges section, and that will be happening shortly here. And in the meantime, we're back full steam. So stay tuned. At the end of our little chat here, we're going to be covering what's coming up next on the EBC channel and in the Conflux Discord. So stay tuned for that. Now, let's move on, even though we could probably talk about food for like the next 3 days here. Let's move on and start talking about like home style life. Like one of the things that was mentioned in one of y'all's previous streams was a duvet cover versus a sheet versus a comforter versus a bunch of other stuff. So let's talk about some like household items and their uses, and also I want to touch on, if we can, like what a common day is in your lives. Like, you know, what are the things that you interact with at home? What's cooking like? What's entertainment like? And such of those things in your home life. So let's start with Cage this time. What's like a typical day for you, aside from working your ass off?
Well, I don't cook that much anymore, unfortunately. Because I don't know how it is in Europe as far as, Squidge, I know that you're, a writer, and Isnib, I know that streaming is essentially your work. But like for me, like me and my wife work completely opposite shifts. She's up every day around 6 a.m. and she heads into work at 8 a.m. And I don't have to be up that early because I work at 3:30 in the afternoon and I work till midnight. So we are 100% opposite shifts there. So like cooking doesn't really happen a ton around my house anymore. Unfortunately.
Did it before you switched jobs and started working second shift?
Yeah, actually, I really enjoy cooking. I wish I had a nicer kitchen in order to cook in, but I do really enjoy cooking quite a bit. I don't get too fancy with it a lot of times. Sometimes I will, but it kind of depends on what's going on.
Well, and I'll chip in there and say, especially now that, like the price of gas has gone way up and other things, I'm trying to cut my costs at home. I'm doing a lot more food prep and cooking at home. But especially being on the keto diet to the best of my ability, I'm also trying to do a lot of food prep like one day, and that's my food prep for the entire week. And typically that's a Monday for me simply because of my weird Uber schedule. But what like Isnib and Squidge, what's like your daily schedule as far as the cooking aspect more directly?
Squidge?
I cook every day, but unless I'm too tired to. But as you may recall, when we started this, I said that I can't even get a pizza delivered to me. So if I don't cook, I have to do like a 30 to 40-minute round trip drive to pick up any food.
Wow.
So that's why I cook a lot. If I lived somewhere where I had more access, I probably would order more. So it's kind of not a bad thing necessarily. But I also, like Cage, my other half is very rarely here. He works crazy shifts, like ridiculous. So I'm mostly cooking for myself. But if he comes back, he might have some leftovers, or if I've freshly cooked something and he happens to be back, he'll eat that. I really only cook dinner. I don't really cook a lunch, like a hot lunch or anything like that. And unless you count frying some eggs, I don't really cook breakfast either. But yeah, dinners I'll do pretty much every day, unless I've made so much I have leftovers for a day or two, and then I'll just cook when they run out, type thing. Yeah, I don't know if that's helpful.
Oh, that's all right. What is a typical breakfast?
Depends how hungry I am. Sometimes just a bowl of cereal. Sometimes 2 bits of toast with butter and jam. And occasionally I'll do like eggs and toast, or eggs on toast, maybe some bacon.
Hold on.
Hello.
Butter and jam?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that, Scotty?
I don't think I've ever had that. I don't. It's either or.
I'm not going to put jam on dry toast. You need. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that.
We're back to
Wow.
food again. Well,
is that a US thing, or is that a Scotty thing?
I don't know. That might be just me, but
I don't think it's just you, Scotty. I don't think this is an either-or thing. I definitely grew up squidge, butter and jam. But I personally don't really like putting both together. I will certainly eat it.
the shock on
and
her
my
face.
preference is, if I'm having toast, I'll just have buttered toast. I won't even think about jam. But if I were to, I probably wouldn't also put butter on it.
Oh.
I am also probably like Scotty, and it's either or.
Am I the weird one then?
No, because I grew up with it
Cage
like
is
you.
weird
That's
too.
the standard. That's the standard British way. Butter, jam. I'm the weirdo here, as is Scotty.
But at least in our house growing up, it was an either or thing. You didn't put both. But okay, so what I was driving at with that portion of it is like what constitutes a typical meal. So you said cereal, which surprised me. I don't, and let's make sure we're talking about the same thing here. We're talking about like a dry, little chunks of something put in a bowl, and you add milk to it, and maybe a spoonful of sugar or something.
Yeah, like cornflakes or Rice Krispies or Cocoa Pops or porridge if it's cold. I still call that a cereal.
Yeah, I think typically for those weirdos that like that here in America, it's either oatmeal or cream of wheat or
cream of wheat. That sounds
cream
like
of wheat.
Yeah, that's an old man thing now.
That sounds like something out of Dungeons and Dragons or something. Yeah.
Oatmeal.
Yeah,
typically.
no. Yeah, we know what you mean when you say oatmeal.
Okay.
We call it porridge.
Yeah,
because that's
but
what
it's
the
just
Scots
rolled
call it.
The only time in American history that's been referred to as porridge is when referring to the Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Ah, interesting.
Hold up. Porridge and oatmeal are the same thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty
They're
sure.
exactly the same thing.
Let me Google it. Just double check.
As is
Cage's face.
As is cream of wheat. As is what is that other thing that I can't even remember because it's all disgusting.
Okay. Apparently they are the same thing, but if you use, it depends whether you cook it with water or milk. I cook it with milk.
Okay. All right. So toast. What about like meats or potatoes? Eggs, obviously. Eggs, obviously. But what are you doing like breakfast meats and potatoes and stuff like that?
I don't really have potatoes for breakfast.
No.
I mean, occasionally I have brown, but not really a thing. And meats would be like bacon, either what we call in the UK black bacon, which I'm sure you'd probably just call like English bacon, Oh, I prefer the American style streaky bacon because it goes crispier, and I'm a texture person. Or sausages. And yes, we do sometimes have beans in our cooked breakfast. I know that weirds out a lot of people, and even some Brits don't like it. But yeah,
Okay,
if
back bacon looks kind of like a more traditional Canadian bacon, or a little fancier.
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it because
Okay.
it can go a bit chewy. But yeah,
Okay. Same with you, Isnib?
For breakfast, I'm. This isn't a British or American thing. This is just me being weird. I'm one of those kind of people I will eat the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
Some people can't handle that. I do, and breakfast is the same. So I always have 2 eggs. When I had a bit more spare income and I was like far more on the exercise, I would actually have 5 eggs, and people thought I was like, that was ridiculous. 5 eggs. That's what I was working hard.
Especially on keto anymore, I'm going through at least a dozen eggs a week.
There you go. See, you understand. Yeah,
Wow.
this is when I was on the keto
Minimum,
as well.
minimum
Yeah.
2 a day.
But 5 eggs, like not only is that a large number of eggs in a single sitting, but why 5? My non-existent OCD is like 5. How
All
are
right,
you
it
doing
needs to
that?
be an
Like,
even
they come
number.
in dozens.
Yeah.
No, the box of eggs I used to buy came in a box of 15. So that's three.
Oh,
for
that's
breakfast.
just evil. That's
Yeah, I don't know. That's Britain for you. What are you gonna? Yeah.
Everything here is in dozens, at least when it comes in eggs.
You can't. Yeah, no, it depends. It kind of varies over here.
yeah,
The typical is half a dozen.
yeah.
And you can get a dozen,
How does your
but you
milk?
can also get 10
How
or
does
15.
how does your milk come? Because it's in a 1 gallon, and granted that's the metric versus whatever.
Gallon.
But it's
What's a gallon?
It's a
It's
plastic
ye olden
jug,
days.
right? Because I've heard
That
in
indignant
many
look from
places it comes
Switch.
in like a plastic bag.
Bag,
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Canada, milk comes in bags.
as in like a squishy bag.
Yeah.
What you doing, Canada? What?
Weird. I'm really sorry, Canadians.
I feel bad for them now. What? But no, milk. Just comes in plastic bottles. You can
Fine.
occasionally kind of more like waxed paper. That's not what I'm talking about. Cardboard. Like you get juice, kind of like that.
Carton.
Yeah.
Yeah, carton. Thank you, Switch. But all like 90% of the time there will be plastic bottle, and we do it in pints because what.
Yeah.
What, but yeah,
but
a
wait
small
a
one
second.
will be.
Wait. That's the other thing, though, is that if we're gonna start talking about the measurement systems, yes,
my God.
the United States is so very fucked up in this regard, with quarts and pints and ounces and cups and gallons and
Oh my God.
other things like that, except for soda, which comes in a 2-liter bottle.
See, that's the thing. It's not even so much as the fact that of imperial versus metric measuring system. It's just the fact that the United States uses one for one thing, the other for the other thing, some other thing for this thing. It just
And apparently, the
don't make any
UK
sense.
does that to some other degree because you measure beer in pints
Yeah,
instead of
We do.
liters.
yeah. We do we mix things up a bit. So like if you're talking about your car, the size of the engine will be in litres and the amount of fuel you put in will be in litres. But you also buy pints of milk. But then our roads are in miles, not kilometres, which the rest
Really?
of Europe is in kilometres, yeah. But it was like miles per hour, it's 20 miles away, whatever that might be. So we do mix it up a lot as well, which is makes no sense.
Yeah, I suppose in that regard we're pretty much the same because we'll do like you're talking about a car. Okay, so we're gonna go buy a gallon of gas, or we're going to measure the cubic inches of an engine in liters. It's a 3.6 liter engine, or
Yeah.
So at least that sounds like we're pretty much the same. All right. What about cleaning in the house? What kind of cleaning products do we typically use?
People clean their house.
Yeah, I know,
I was
right?
going to say what? What I use, Scotty, is a Hoover. That's what I use.
A vacuum.
Yeah, Hoover.
Okay.
Vacuum.
Right. Are they all
Hoover is
Hoovers
a
over
brand,
there?
is the
Sorry, Cage.
Hoover is a brand.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah, it's the only brand in the UK. Even, in fact, so much so, even if the brand is, say, like a Dyson, it's still a Hoover.
Yeah.
So,
That's
And you
how.
do the hoovering as well. It's like the
Yeah.
actual action as well as the name of the thing.
it is. Look, me and Squid didn't make the rules. We were just born into it.
That's very similar to soda versus pop versus Coke here. Like in
Yeah, this
in
is what
our area, the Midwest, it's usually referred to as pop.
Yeah.
In most of the other country, it's referred to as soda. In many places in the South, all soda pop is referred to as a Coke. What kind of Coke do you
It's
want? I
just
want
a
a Dr.
Coke.
Pepper.
Some people just want to see the world burn, don't they? Obviously. What kind of Coke do you want? Dr. Pepper.
Really-
What language are we speaking? That's insanity. That is. But so over here, so we definitely don't say soda. That's
No.
never a thing that's existed over here. Up north, where I came from, we would definitely call it pop, like some of you guys do. But that's more niche for you. But down here in the south, you tell me what you think of this, Squidge. We just refer to it as whatever it specifically is. So it's a Coke, it's Pepsi, it's Dr. Pepper. We don't have a catch-all word, you know. And if you ask, you'd be like, "Oh, it's carbonated beverage,
Yeah.
a soft drink." It's a soft drink, you know.
Yeah.
It's a non-alcoholic drink.
Well,
Yeah.
soft drink is popular too, although that's probably gone out of style for use in the United States. All
Yeah.
right, so hoovering is apparently a thing in the UK. Man, that sucks.
But yeah, what? Sorry, you were asking about other cleaning products.
Yes.
I can't really speak too much to it, Scotty. My brother does all the rest of the cleaning. I just hoover my rooms occasionally.
Okay, well, like for instance, we will use a lot of bleach, more specifically Clorox brand. So if you refer to Clorox, almost anybody here would know what that refers to.
Right.
Probably the most popular brand of bleach. We use ammonia, Windex, which is window cleaner, but that's probably the most popular brand, and you would often refer to as Windex. We just call it a vacuum. There is the Hoover brand, and there's also the Hoover Dam, but I don't think anybody has ever referred to vacuuming here as like a specific, we don't call it Dysoning, or anything like that.
Obviously not. That would be
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Sweeper, yes. Or you're sweeping. Yeah, vacuuming or sweeping, I think. Although sweeping also refers to taking a broom and sweeping the floor.
Yeah.
That's-
What does it mean when you mean it the other way?
Well, I have heard it called sweeping, which would also refer to vacuuming, but that's
Oh.
like
Okay.
it's more generally just the act of cleaning the floor, either
Okay.
bare floor or a carpet or something like that.
Right.
Let's see, what else would there be? Dusting. We are
Yeah.
dusting
Yes,
with a
we do that.
duster.
Yeah.
Doing the dishes. We're actually making love to the dishes instead of like cleaning.
See, that's an interesting one, Scotty. I definitely say, and I don't know if this is something that's new over the past couple of years, or if it's more recently meeting all you guys and having more like American influence. I definitely say I've got to do the dishes. Sorry,
Hey.
guys, let me head out and I've got to do the dishes. Squidge probably says she's doing the washing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what I grew up with. So I don't know why that's rubbed off on me, but yeah, I say doing the dishes now. I wonder if it's just unconsciously I've said that so you guys understand. Because if I said, "Hey, I've got to go do the washing up," you're like, "What does that even mean?"
And I think over here, if you were to say that, that would probably more refer to like washing your hands or cleaning your body in some fashion.
Yeah,
than
totally.
dishes.
Yeah, washing up is the dishes.
So, okay, so if washing up is the dishes, because yeah, in my mind, like when you say I'm gonna go wash up, like that's cleaning yourself. Like you
Well,
guys,
it's washing up. It's you wouldn't say I need to wash up. Or maybe you would actually. I don't know, but it's. Oh God, this is so confusing. I would normally say washing up. I need to wash. I don't think I would ever say I need to wash up, as in I would say I need to wash my hands,
Yeah.
or I need
No.
to get cleaned up or something like that. I don't think. Yeah, wash up or washing up would only ever refer to plates and cups and
Yeah.
stuff.
If you had dirty hands, you'd say, "Oh, sorry, just give me a second. I just need to wash my hands, or I
Yeah,
need to clean my hands."
yeah,
And if you mean just having a wash in general, Cage, you'd just say what it was. You say, "Oh, I'm gonna jump in the shower.
yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna run a bath." You
Yeah.
know.
I think the term washing up in America is probably more like a very specific thing that a mother would say to a child, go wash up, or
Yeah.
maybe somebody would say, I need to go wash up, referring to like they've been working outside, their hands are dirty, they've been working on a car or something like that,
Yeah.
and they need to clean up in that regard. All right, cleaning your clothes, we have a washer and a dryer.
Close. We we have a washing machine. I don't. Maybe some people say washer.
No,
But I don't. I'm trying to think if I've ever met them, or maybe I'll
it's a
just
washing
imagine them.
machine.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely a washing machine.
yeah.
And if you have one, or it's not typical, it'd be a tumble dryer.
Yeah.
As opposed to just a dryer.
Yeah. I guess the only time you might
because clothes tumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take it after you guys fall there.
You can have like a machine that does both, and then you might say it's a washer dryer.
Yeah.
But the thing on its own is just a washing machine. So I think that will be the only time you mention washer, if it's like a combo thing.
I mean, I think up until maybe like 20 years ago, there was no combos. It was all two separate machines. But yeah, with the advent of that, it's at least referred to as a washer/dryer. But I don't know. Is there another specific term for a washer-dryer combo? Cage? Not that you can
not to
think
my
of.
knowledge.
Okay.
I have seen on TV and shows, I don't know if this is real or not, or if it's just Hollywood, but your washing machines are different because you put the stuff in at the top, and we don't have those. All of it, they open at the front. I've seen and I'm like, how do you even get your stuff in? And I find that very strange. Like even in laundrettes, they're all front facing, open, and like that. I don't know if I'm making sense.
To that point, I think we do. There are front loading washing machines here. I think that kind of, and Scotty could correct me. I think that kind of falls along with the idea of the combo units. That front loading washing machines weren't really a prevalent thing until the last 20 years or so. I've never
but the reason why is because they would try to save money in the production of the washing unit by making it so that you don't have to have a seal on the side. It's everything in a top-down bin, so it just dumps the water in, does its thing, and then drains the water out the bottom, and it was like a gravity-type fed thing.
Wow.
So you can get a front-loading washing machine, but it's definitely going to be more expensive, and it's more prevalent only now since the advent of the combo, and it's all done through the one portal.
That's so interesting.
But yeah, I mean, any washing machine up until probably the late 90s was always top loading for the most part, unless you were rich.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I've never seen a top loading one except on TV.
And
So,
and as far
they
as
don't
like
exist over here.
yeah, as far as like the loading and unloading of that goes, it's at the same height, pretty much as the dryer. Like you'd buy a pair like that, and um, definitely if you were like a shorter person, like if it was my chore as a child to do that, I might have trouble reaching the bottom of the bin to be
Yeah.
able to grab all the clothes out of that. But
Oh yeah, that's absolutely a problem. That's on it. Like, well, there's a reason why her screen name is short and sweet. Veronica cannot reach the bottom of our washer. Like,
Wow.
she cannot actually get the clothes out of it, so I do all the washing. Like, it's probably
It seems discriminatory.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought the reason you did all the washing,
Yeah,
Kate, was because you're an amazing husband, and you would do it regardless of Short and Sweet's height. But yeah, never mind.
not discriminatory, just not as much forethought, and most definitely there's a lot of things in America where they cheapen the product. Like it's not as fancy as it could be because they're trying to save costs so that the consumer then doesn't have to spend as much money. So yeah, definitely things like that.
Do we really get to save any money, or they
No,
just cheapen the cost?
Yeah, they
and
just
then
cheapen it and
still
raise
charge
the
us the
cost.
same?
Yeah. At least anymore. There used to be a time in America when manufacturing was definitely geared towards giving the consumer a good product, but that's not quite much anymore. Okay, this is a cat. What do you call it in the UK?
Yeah, yeah, usually a cat.
Cat and dog.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
How prevalent is pet ownership?
Very.
Yeah,
would say
I would
Squidge.
say. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Most people have either a cat or a dog, unless you live in like somewhere with really high restrictions, I guess. Like even people in cities will get cats for their apartments or flats. And if you are fortunate enough to have a garden or access to outside space, then you probably get a dog or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not to say it would be unusual if you you went to somebody's house and they didn't have pets, but it's far more common and you're kind of expected, as I would imagine it is for you guys over there. Like if I came to any of your houses and you had a cat or dog or both or multiples, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be like, oh yeah, of course.
Well, I feel
that's
like
just normal.
I feel like it kind of depends, and Squidge, you mentioned that you don't own your place, you rent. Like, in the United States at least, it's very restrictive with places that will allow you to rent and own a pet at the same time. Is that the same case over there?
Can be, yeah, but I think because I guess the owners of our house, there's a cat flap built into one of the doors that leads outside. So I presume they've had a cat at some point, so they're a bit more open to it. Yeah, I would probably say that when we're looking, the majority don't allow pets, but sometimes they'll allow like one dog or one cat, but you have to pay a bit more because of any damage, I guess.
That's
but yeah,
similar here, but we would also have like places that often would not allow pets at all, and you have to check that. Like if you're moving into a new place, you have to see whether they accept pets or not, and if they do, there's usually a fee involved.
Yeah, I think if you rent a flat, it's pretty much no pets allowed because somebody somewhere might be allergic. But if you're renting like somewhere with your own front door type thing, then it tends to depend on the landlord. Yeah, we were lucky.
Okay.
Yeah, it definitely varies, Scotty. But as Squidge said, it's more kind of just if you're renting, assume that you will not be allowed pets, and it's more kind of like a special circumstance. Like in the last place we were renting, we had my brother's cat. He specifically asked the owner of the home, "Could we get a cat? How do you feel about that?" Clearly, cats have lived here before. same like the squidge with the cat flap thing, and our landlord at the time was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. It's fine. If the cat causes any damage, you're gonna have to pay for it."
Yeah.
And simple as that.
Yeah.
But other places, especially if it's done through a letting agent,
Yeah.
they'll just be like, no pets allowed. That's the rules. Deal with it.
Yeah. Just like a blanket thing.
Yeah.
Are there issues in the city in particular that you know of with like strays? Pets that don't have a home?
No, that's not really a thing. I don't know. What maybe? I don't know, Squidge. Maybe.
I mean, I don't live in a city, so I can't
Yeah, I
say. You do come across strays from time to time, but it's not like, oh god, London's overrun with strays. It's not really a big thing, I wouldn't say.
But like the reason I bring that up is because we definitely have, I think, a higher stray population here because we do have animal control departments in the cities, but they typically can't keep up with the number of strays that are around. Like I know, for instance, like in Chicago, or not Chicago, where am I thinking? Detroit. They have a huge wild dog population that they just cannot control. So you will often see, especially in parts of the city that have been abandoned, and Detroit's one of the worst cities for abandonment. Like they just have whole sections of the city where nobody lives there, and they've got a big population of dogs. If you go down to the Keys in the south end of Florida, there's a huge wild chicken population down there, everywhere, just all over the place.
Jeez.
Yeah, and they either can't keep up with it or don't try to keep up with it, like removing these animals from residential areas and that. We also have a lot of deer here. Especially the further out you get from the city, the deer are just constantly everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we have deer where I am, but that's because I live in the countryside and that's where the deer live.
Right.
Although ours are probably a lot smaller than yours. But I mean, like, we have people that will abandon animals. Obviously, it happens, and you always see adverts on the TV. This dog was left in this horrendous condition. Please donate. And there are like animal homes, like Battersea Dogs Home is quite well known. I got a dog from there once, and cats as well. And there are like rescue centres, but I wouldn't say there's like, it would be very uncommon to see a stray dog just wandering down the street, let alone a pack of them or chickens. Yeah, you get the odd one abandoned, but it's not like there is an issue as such in any city that I'm aware of.
I think you're right, Squidge. And any time, in the rare instance that would happen, it would be, somebody would soon notice, call the authorities, and then they would swoop right in and remove that animal and look after it or do whatever they needed to do with it.
So it sounds like they actually do what they're supposed to do there.
Yeah. Yeah, but seemingly maybe there's just less of an issue of it in the first place, Scotty.
Like. As Short and Sweet brought up in our chat here, we end up having these things that are usually put out by the ASPCA. I can't even remember what that stands for. It's basically a national organization among other national organizations that attempt to get more and more donations as time goes on to raise money for animal shelters, because we have such a huge stray population here that almost constantly the shelters are jam-packed. So animal control would bring in an animal and there's just no room, to the point where they end up having to cull the flock, so to speak, and they end up just slaughtering so many animals over time, and then usually they'll like make a decision based on availability and that, but they we get these super sad sappy commercials that has Sarah McLachlan singing her song Angel in the background to make you feel super bad about not donating to this organization to help these poor animals in the shelters. And they play every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, we have like the main one here is the RSPCA, which is the Royal Society something animals. And they do have adverts. It's not like a huge problem. Obviously, you will get an influx of animals being abandoned or taken to animal shelters, like January, February. Pets for Christmas that are suddenly no longer small, and people don't realize that. And there are obviously issues with places like puppy farms, or puppy mills, they're called, and they're really
Yes.
awful. You have like a desirable breed that they just bred over and over and over again, and there's living in horrendous conditions. So I'll probably say that's more of an issue than strays. But yeah, some of the situations that these animals are in is very unpleasant. So maybe they would be better off as strays because they could at least sort of fend for themselves.
Yeah, and we definitely have some of the puppy mill stuff here. But like so much so that we used to have a local celebrity in the Cleveland area called Dick Goddard. He was a weatherman for one of our local channels for, I don't know, 50 years. Great guy. He passed away not too long ago, but he was like in his late 80s now. And that was his message as the weatherman, was he'll spay and neuter your pets so that we can help control the population better.
Yeah.
So
Bob Barker.
Bob Barker did it too. And yeah, you're right. Bob Barker did it at the end of every show, but Dick Goddard used to have like a charity function every year too, but he would say that as well.
Yeah. And sorry,
yeah, that's right. Harangue the damn Canadians with their stupid milk.
Squidge, you're talking about like not necessarily having like a large stray population there, per se, but you do have overpacked shelters. I think you were saying. We get a lot of the overpacked shelters here in the United States too, and then we still have a stray problem because Scotty, I'm going to go off on a small rant here.
That's fine.
Prevented program, but people are fucking bastards who just leave animals to just fend for themselves. Maybe I'll just reel it in. But like this one time, so a few years back, I'm sure whether you guys have played it or not, you're familiar with the game Pokemon Go, the mobile game. So me and Short and Sweet used to play that quite often, and we would drive around to places to do the Pokestops and the gyms and all that kind of stuff. One day we were driving around. It was in the middle of July. It was like 97 degrees outside here or something, Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I don't know what you guys use. And someone had just dumped a cat in like this like thermal house ball like type thing in the middle of a freaking parking lot.
Ugh.
Like in 100-degree day. It was the worst. Like the absolute like worst thing ever, and we should be thankful I didn't run into them.
And there's definitely something to be said about like the compassion of people, especially it seems to me on the low end of the financial spectrum, where they might go and buy their child a pet that's this novelty item, and when they realize, because they're stupid, how much work taking care of a pet actually is, they go, oh, I don't want to do this, and they go to just like drop it off in a parking lot somewhere. But even more than that, many of our shelters will charge you to drop off a pet, which maybe that's the way it's supposed to be, in regards to taking care of it. But if you're paying anywhere between $30 and $100 to get rid of an animal to a shelter, that's going to dissuade a lot of people from actually dropping it off at the shelter. They don't want to spend that kind of money. So they just drop it off in a park or a parking lot, or throw it out. I've seen animals being thrown into dumpsters.
Oh, jeez.
Because they just don't care.
That's...
So Short and Sweet, obviously doing like the cartoons. We were looking back through a bunch of the cartoons, There was an old Tom and Jerry cartoon where Tom, dies and goes to heaven. Right? So like he's kind of like waiting in line at the pearly gates, and this bag that is sopping wet and has 3 kittens in it, like comes hopping up to the entryway.
Oh God!
And when I was a kid, I didn't get that. As an adult, I understand what was implied there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
that's sickening.
it is.
Well,
And for it to be portrayed in a cartoon like that suggests that it's not. It's at least
common,
a common
right?
enough event that the writers of the cartoon would think, oh, let's use that as an example.
I
Wow.
got to imagine that we're probably the same on that spectrum, that there's just as equally uncompassionate and evil people in every corner. Americans, I can say for a decent fact that maybe not with like animal abuse or something like that, but generally there's probably a whole subset of Americans in general that have not been raised on any kind of good moral value system. And so when they enter adulthood, or like as a child, maybe they're getting involved with gang activity or something like that, they just don't know basic right from wrong. That's probably where we differ, because I know that maybe some of that exists in the UK, but it's probably not nearly as prevalent as many areas of our society here in America.
Yeah, there's. I'm sure there's organised crime in London and other places in the country, but there's not really gangs of criminals in the sense that maybe you guys have gangs in various cities throughout your country. There's definitely. I can speak to this in the town I live in. There's definitely people who, as you kind of raised, as you said, alluded to a minute ago, Scotty, who grow up to be petty criminals, and they will just, they'll steal things, and they'll be, do petty crime of opportunity. They'll be out and about, and they might not be planning to steal anything, but maybe they'll see an opportunity to steal something, so they will. But they're not organised. They're not smart. They're not. They're not planning to. They're not like. They're individuals. They're not like groups coming together in a gang as such. That's definitely
we've even
not
had
a thing.
We've even had more recently, like I'd say, just within the past 10 years in America, where gangs of people, and when I say gang, I use that term now loosely to just describe a whole bunch of people that are probably under the age of like 30, that will actually organize on Twitter or Facebook to go and riot and like all storm into a Walmart for
take as much as they
30
can,
minutes, take as much as they can and get out, and the cops do nothing, because what can they do against 400 people all doing that at the same time?
Yeah.
Well, we had that with the London riots, but that was such a unheard of occurrence, really. I feel like the really big organised crime lords people, it's a business for them. So you would pass them in the street, you wouldn't know who they were. It's not like a sense of belonging or a community or anything like that. It's just business for them, and their business is, drugs, trafficking, whatever it might be. But that's very, very different to like who Isnib was talking about, like the people that are, oh, I see that there's a window open and there's no one in the house, I'm just going to hop in and see what I can grab. Right. Opportunists who are just individuals, or maybe like a couple of people. It's very like there's like the known people, I guess, in a particular community to the police probably, who are like repeat offenders but never really do anything harmful. And then you have like organized crime, which is going to be, you would never know who they were. So yeah, it's very different kind of culturally, I would say. It might be different in cities, but yeah.
Okay. real quick, let's go around starting with Isnib. Any kind of like other facets of this whole discussion that you wanted to bring attention to, or final parting words, or something like that?
Yeah, I know you want to wrap this up, Scotty. I'm not, somebody else, I think Veronica mentioned we could do another one of these quite easily.
Yes.
But let me put this to.
And we might
Yeah.
some point in the future.
Let me
but-
try and put this to you two quickly. Do you guys know what squash is? And I'm not talking about the vegetable.
It's a game, right? Played with,
Yes,
like,
it is a game,
rackets.
but it is something that is consumed as opposed to a sport, a game.
Oh.
No, you're like, what the hell is that? Okay, did you know what cordial is?
No. I mean, we have something called cordial.
Cordial? Yeah,
like
okay.
cordial snail.
Cordial
but
snail.
That refers either to a type of behavior or attitude, or a cherry, a specific type of cherry.
Oh, a type of cherry.
Okay.
Okay. I think you guys have you have Kool-Aid,
Yes.
right? That is kind of what I'm talking about when I say squash. Now, Kool-Aid is powder, isn't it?
Wait. Hold on. Yeah, I'm getting an aneurysm here.
Scotty's like, what on earth are we talking about now?
Squash is Kool-Aid?
Yes, but it's very different. You guys have Kool-Aid is powder, isn't it? Right, and you mix it
Yes.
with water.
Yes.
We have the same thing, but it's not powder. It's liquid. It's concentrated liquid, a flavored liquid that you mix with water to dilute it. That is squash, or I was called it cordial, or as when I was a kid.
Oh.
I've been
I'll send you a picture if you want.
Okay. Squash is a vegetable here.
Yeah, no, it's also a vegetable here. But if
Oh,
you
okay.
if Squidge came here and she said, "Oh, have you got any squash?" I'll be like, let me have a look.
You just pull out a green
She
vegetable
wants a drink.
and you're like, here you
But so it's like a liquid, a concentrated liquid flavoring for water. They
Yes.
the most popular brand of that here is called Neo, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it? So you do have it, but it's far less prevalent. Everyone goes for the Kool-Aid.
Oh, okay. No, so we're still talking something kind of different.
Oh.
So like Mio comes in like a little bottle. It's like about this big,
Which is great.
and it's designed to like squeeze into a water bottle, like a
Okay,
bottle
slightly
of
different.
water. I mean, I think the idea is still the same.
We would probably call those like a technical term would be a beverage enhancer or water enhancer.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
yeah, or just in general water flavor, because it's generally just to mix with water. Although we do have, like, I'm looking at some of this, and like you've got an elderflower cordial.
Yeah.
we do have
That's just more
some,
a fancy word for it.
like
than squash.
mixers for alcoholic beverages, or coffee flavors, or things like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds far more fancy.
Very fancy.
Yeah, generally a mixer or a beverage enhancer.
Yeah. But yes, I just want to throw that out there because I've mentioned it before on stream, and people are like, "What are you even talking
Syrup.
about?"
Yeah, syrups we would also call them, especially for alcoholic beverages. You've got simple syrups and that.
Cool. I found a little article that was, yeah. I just wanted to pull a few things from, which, you guys don't get paid vacation, do you? And it's
No, we
unique
do.
to your job. You do you? Okay.
Yeah, it depends.
it
It
depends
depends
on
on
the
Scotty
the
job.
job.
doesn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, over here it's mandatory. If you work a job, unless Squidge, who works for herself, then that's up to her. But
Like the lesser paid jobs it's considered a benefit that if it's a better job, the more you're going to have, like, paid vacation or paid sick leave or stuff like that. It's not a given.
What's the typical amount of paid time off that you would get, like, on average? I know
Uh,
it varies, but I'm curious.
And it usually depends on like 10 years, so you would probably like start a job and within a year get 2 weeks. And then within like say a
As in 10 days?
as in 14 days. Oh,
Oh,
that's
it's in
right,
10
10 days, yeah. Yeah, 5 day week, so you get 2 weeks, so 10 days. So then within like 2 to 3 or 4 year period, you would work yourself up to 4 weeks, and typically employers don't give any more than 20 days
Wow.
a year.
Squidge is like, you poor sad souls.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't have it now, and obviously, yes, it varies. But before I worked for myself, I just worked general office jobs, admin, marketing, that sort of thing. And I don't think I ever had a job where I got less than 25 days as standard.
5 weeks of vacation time? Standard?
Yeah. And also, if I'm sick, I get paid for it. There's no taking a sick day or I just ring and I'm like, I'm not coming in today, I'll be in tomorrow. Okay, fine, no different from my paycheck.
As far as sick pay goes, we usually have what's called PTO for paid time off, which you accrue. So, like, you work, say, 40 hours, you accrue a 1 hour of PTO. So then, like, say you wanted to take an entire week of PTO that would also account for sick leave, you'd have to work so many weeks to accrue a whole week of PTO.
Wait. So if you want to take a holiday or vacation, that's the same as I've just broken my foot and now I can't walk and come in terms of taking the time off.
It depends on the place.
Yeah, it can be, but oftentimes there's a separation there. Like if you say, I'm sorry, I can't come into work, I'm in the hospital, they would give you like so many sick days based on the reasoning behind that, and they may or may not, depending on the location, require you to take paid time off accrual for that.
They have something called the Family Medical Leave Act here, FMLA as it's more commonly associated. If you run into an instance where you're going to have an extended period of time that you cannot physically work for whatever reason, things change a little bit. But yeah, like typically speaking, it does depend on the place. So like I worked for GameStop previously for 17 years, and I had 4 weeks of vacation time. So 20 days. I had, I want to say it was 4 personal days, and then I had 5 sick days. So like they were all separated. Like I had different things. Vacation time was supposed to be put in advance, known about. Personal days were things I could take on a fairly short notice, and then sick days obviously were usually taken on an incredibly short notice. My current job, and those were all effectively given to me at the beginning of like the period. Like they didn't have to pay them out because of the way the system worked if we quit or left or whatever, but I could use them. They were always accessible. My new job, it's all lumped together. If I take time off that I'm supposed to be working for any reason, it comes out of the money or the hours that I've earned, and I earn just under 7 hours per 80-hour period worked, basically. So for every 2 weeks that I work, I get basically a day off.
Right. What happens if you're sick before you've accrued it?
You pray that don't happen.
Ow.
Yeah.
What actually happens though?
They don't.
Do you owe them a sick day, or are they like, my God, Cage, you've already used all your sick days. You've called in sick. You're out of here, bro. Clear your desk. You're done.
They wouldn't necessarily fire you unless it becomes extreme, but you're just not going to be paid for that time.
Right, yeah. And I mean, that was pretty typical for my last job. Yeah, I could call in sick. They wouldn't be very happy. But I'm not getting paid for that day. That's my choice, you know.
Right.
Because that was my contract. I wasn't on a salary as such. I was just paid by the hour.
And again, that's also indicative of like the difference between a entry level job or a lower paying job that doesn't require as much skill and the higher jobs. So like oftentimes when it's a higher paying job, not only would it be salary, but you've got employers that are competing against each other to provide benefits. So obviously there's your hourly or salary pay, but then they might offer a better benefit as far as retirement or paid time off or anything. The only thing that's really required by law is maternity leave, and you're under the Family and Medical Leave Act. You're supposed to be given so much time for if there's some kind of maternity or some kind of severe family emergency medical regarding that then would be given so much time off, and then anything above that is whatever the employer is doing because of the competition on the position.
Sure. I've heard that maternity leave isn't very long in the US.
It's I don't think it is. Sween and Stephanie are both in the chat right now that probably could answer that a lot better than we
12 weeks legally, she says.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and Sween says it right there. So you get 12 weeks legally for maternity leave, but it's not required to be paid. So you can take that full 12 weeks off, which you would think because you're a new mother, you would get that. You would want to take that time to make sure that you are starting to, raise this young being that you just brought into the world, and be able to provide and care for them. And you can't provide and care for them because you're not getting paid from your work. Let alone the fact, and I don't know how it is over in the UK or other parts of the world as far as what you get, what you're paid for, but there is, at least in the United States, 100% no such thing as paternity leave.
Wow.
So the husband doesn't get any time away from work, short of using PTO, to help this brand new mother who just pushed a being out of her.
To be fair, though,
as well.
Right. To be fair, though, like suppose you're on maternity leave for 12 weeks and your employer does not offer that, you can apply for food stamps and housing and energy assistance through the government, and they will, sign you up and give you that. You just have to say, okay, here's what's going on, and I have no income coming into our household, and they will assist you with that. And there's also unemployment, like for instance, if you're, let go from your job, you can get paychecks based on what you were earning for a certain period of time, which I think standard right now it's 26 weeks. If you lose your job, I may be wrong on that. It might be still extended because of COVID, but
wow,
the government does have some programs in place to assist that if the employer is not required to provide it by law. So, and again, on the higher end, you've got jobs that compete, and some jobs would offer paid maternity leave as part of their benefits package.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, over here, I've just been looking up. It's across the board. If you are on maternity leave, which you're entitled to by law, assuming you are considered, legally employed, regardless of your job, you can take up to a year at your choice, and you get 90% of your average earnings from the first 6 weeks. And then for the rest of the remaining weeks, okay, so you only get paid up to 39 weeks. So the final 13 weeks, you would be like you guys, potentially getting unpaid.
That's still 40 weeks paid.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
after the first, from week 7 to 39, though, you're only getting like £156, which is so you're getting a lot less money. But you're still getting money. But what Sween was saying, as in you're getting your position is legally protected. That's a year. That's a whole year, folks. So Wow.
Okay,
And
and I,
some of them. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I do want to start wrapping this up because
Yeah,
sorry.
we've gone.
We've
No,
gone
no, no, no.
over a
You
bit.
guys are fine. It's just I don't want to hold you up anymore because we're
No,
literally
that's
an
fine, bud.
hour over the time that I wanted to take up your, through request your time. So I'll tell you what, we will revisit this. We will have an EBC UK versus US special part 2 at some
Woohoo!
point. You folks willing, and we'll revisit this topic, the differences between our cultures, because it is fascinating to me, especially the language. It is definitely pasta, not pasta. So, so
Posta. Posta?
pasta,
What's that?
yeah.
I don't know about this, Squidge. Here's the thing, Scott. I'm going to defer to our published author. So, yeah, Darkly's got a point. I wonder if get some Canadians in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let's
two,
get Tuba.
Canada.
They're practically British. In fact, they're kind of like half British, half French, half American, aren't they? And that's Canadians for you.
I think we should have Ben in as a residential Canadian, even though he's, I think, Wisconsin or something like that.
Absolutely.
Michigan, I don't know. All that stuff up north is the same.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This has been loads of fun. We definitely will do this again sometime. I don't know when, but just watch the schedule on ebc2021.com, and it might show up there. So with that being said, let's segue right into coming attractions on the EBC channel. Join me tonight. It's going to be a blast. I bought a reproduction light bright. And that's the entire fucking stream, is just me playing on a light bright. So if you remember this from the 80s, stop on by. It's going to be great. That's at 7 o'clock tonight, which is literally just 2.5 hours from now. So it will be my second stream of the day, and we're just going to have some chill music and fun. And yeah, it's literally light bright from the 1980s, even though it's not an actual original light bright, but we're going to have fun with it and revisit our childhood. So that's tonight at 7. Tomorrow we have our next interviews with normal, extraordinary people. With the man himself, Doom is going to be my guest for that interview. That's tomorrow night here at 7 o'clock. Make sure you stop by for that. He's a beautiful man, and we're going to get to know him very well. Then Tuesday, our DMCA Nope series continues on the Conflux. It is a Conflux exclusive. We watched last Tuesday the first 4 in the Garfield annual TV special series. So now we're going to be watching 5 through 8, and that includes Garfield in Paradise from 1986, Garfield Goes to Hollywood from 1987, A Garfield Christmas from 1987, and Garfield His 9 Lives from 1988. That'll be Tuesday starting at 7 o'clock in the Conflux. And another Conflux exclusive that's going to be starting on Thursday. That's going to be Short and Sweet and myself. We're going to be reviewing in what I'm dubbing a watch party podcast, the new Star Trek, basically the stuff that Paramount and CBS have been coming out with in just the last 6 years. So we're going to start on Thursday night with Star Trek Discovery. If you've never seen it, stop on by, and we're basically going to watch all of the episodes in a very specific order that I will describe that night. But we will be starting with Season 1, Episode 1 of Star Trek Discovery. If you're a person who believes that all of the new Star Trek that has been coming out is just complete and utter bullshit, stop on by anyway, because you might find our commentary on that quite interesting. And that's why I went with that title, That's Not Real Trek, because it seems there are so many die-hard Star Trek fans that have determined that anything new that comes out in the realm of Star Trek is just not real Trek. Because it doesn't match their idea of the canon or the history or Gene Roddenberry's legacy or whatever bullshit they come up with. So we will be going through everything that CBS and Paramount have come out with in the last 6 years. Over time, it's literally going to take a little over a year doing approximately 2 episodes a week to go through the whole thing. But that includes all of the new series that they have on there. And again, we will start with Star Trek Discovery. So if you don't like it, I don't give a shit, don't come. And then finally, our last announcement is not really an announcement. It's just, hey, we've got some mystery content coming up on August 7th. I will be releasing the name of our next audio drama and a little bit about it coming up, I want to say in like a week and a half to 2 weeks. So we will be announcing the 5th audio drama from EBC fairly soon. But mark the date on your calendar. It will be August 7th, probably at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. That's not set in stone yet, though. The date is, though, August 7th. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope to see you tonight for the Light Bright, where we're just going to basically clown around like we're, I don't know, 6 years old, 7 years old, and put the little pegs in the holes, and it lights up, and it's all colorful, and woo! It's going to be fun. But thank you again. I appreciate you guys joining me for this. It's been great fun.
Thank you very much for having us, Scotty. It's always a pleasure, sir.
Awesome.
Real quick, what do you have coming up on your channel? Squidge, I know you don't really have a regular schedule. You just kind of like whenever you feel like it.
Pretty much. Yeah, that will continue.
What games have you been playing recently that's been fixing your fancy?
I've been playing a lot of I Am Setsuna, which is an amazing classic JRPG. If you imagine taking Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and 10 and mixing them with Ni no Kuni and some Studio Ghibli, that's the game you would get. It's fabulous, lots and lots of fun. And yeah, I've been kind of like playing that because it has a really nice chill atmosphere. It's kind of very quiet, there's lots of piano music, so it's not super intense, which has been really nice for the last couple of weeks.
I don't know what any of those games are, so that sounds fun. I'm not a gamer. I don't know what half of this shit is.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's fantastic adventure storytelling, interesting combat, great characters, in a epic narrative.
Yeah.
Type style.
You're a big Final Fantasy fan, like just about a lot of people in our community is. So I'm sure that kind of epic storyline is most of what you play.
Yeah.
Anyways, check her out. Did you give her a shout out, Cage?
Working on it.
Okay. There we go. Yep. LL McRae. And also, Squidge, are you, if you're in the chat, will you post a link real quick to your book site? So that any of our chatters that are, followers are not that familiar with you, because this is the first time we've had you on the EBC channel, you can check out her novels. All things dragons and magic and awesome, and check it out. She will, the Iron Crown, the greatest novel in the world. Check her out. She's a fantastic author, and
Thank you.
She's got a lot to offer.
Thank you.
there. Isnib, now that the Isnib show is back in full swing, what do you got going on?
Yeah, not too sure, Scotty. We're just winging it. As most of you know, I do every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday from the brand new early time of 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you want this mug with your breakfast, you know where to find me. Going for much longer streams, so it's going to be like, basically 8 till 4 Eastern time. So if you want to see me during the day, if you work or whatever, or if you're, whatever, I'm around.
I
we are currently.
I haven't gagged yet eating my breakfast while you start, so.
Excellent. That is probably the
potential
nicest thing anybody has ever said to me, Scotty. So I appreciate that greatly. Yes, that is definitely on the list, Darkly. Yeah, I am very keen to get back to Silent Hill at some point. So the way we've been doing it so far is we're currently on. Since we've come back, we've played and completed Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Link's Awakening, and now we are about halfway through Rayman Legends. I'm focusing on doing some more kind of shorter games after we did that huge epic marathon of the Final Fantasy series. And at the moment, we are essentially throwing open to a free-for-all vote on what the next game is. So at the moment, the instant we complete Rayman Legends, whoever is in chat at that time, regardless of time or day, will get to vote on. I will throw out 5 options, and whatever is chosen by the people there, whether that's one person or there's quite a few people the other day, that's what we'll do. Much on the list, much more to come. Keep an eye out. We shall see.
And that's
but aside from that, Scotty, I think that's everything.
That's only because I, as the sole producer of the Isnib show at the time, have basically absconded from any of my responsibilities and just said, "What the fuck? I don't care."
Yeah, I mean, you've got enough responsibilities, Scotty. But
although
yeah,
I did make a suggestion that he play the Chrono series, starting with Chrono Trigger. And he has yet to do anything on that. So like, my words don't mean anything already as a producer.
No, that's just because that's a little bit on the longer side, Scotty. If you want that as your official vote, sir, we can do that right away after we finished up Rayman Legends.
I don't give a shit. So whatever.
No, there we go.
Make him play tactics.
You know,
I mean,
Cage, you're the only person that's ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, so I don't think I'm gonna, make him do that kind of horror. Like in all of history, you're the only person that's ever played that game. So I don't know.
I can tell you that's not true.
I don't know. So you guys have at it, and this has been an ongoing Isnib and Cage debate for several millennia now. That Final Fantasy Tactics is a game, and Isnib's like, no, it's fucking not. What are you talking about? Anyway,
it will be played at some point. I just don't know when.
Yes, in 2034, Isnib will be playing Final Fantasy Tactics. Yes. So yeah, just go check Isnib out, and then finally my cohort in all things that are absolutely ridiculous, Legion Cage. What do you got coming up on your channel?
Yeah, I got nothing right now. Like legitimately. So I did 12 Mega Man games during the month of May.
Yes.
Which was very refreshing to me. Isnib, trust me, I completely understand the whole, after playing a bunch of like really long games, the like just being like the palate cleanser that is just playing through a bunch of like shorter games in quick succession has been very nice. And then, after I finished that, I kind of ran into some stuff like with our air conditioner going out and my work schedule being a little hectic. Unfortunately, my work schedule is very hectic again this week. I honestly don't think I'll be streaming in the mornings at all this week. And maybe tomorrow, it kind of depends if Stephanie's available. We talked about doing Pokemon tomorrow. But I'm actually off in the evenings on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week. My schedule has flopped with my normal morning person. So there might be an evening stream from me on one of those days.
Ooh.
Just kind of depends on what I got going on.
Fancy. Okay, well, and I've known that about you. When you're working 60 hours a week, it's like there's no time for streaming. What's that? So you come back when you got time, and we have fun. And I'm glad you did that with the Mega Man month, because that I think forced you to try to really get down and play as much as you could to get through them in that shorter amount of time,
I streamed so much in the month of May compared to what I normally do.
Yeah. But you'll be back as soon as work settles down a little bit. And then, like you saw, I'll be back this 7 o'clock, which is less than 2.5 hours with Light Bright. I am streaming either here or on the Conflux quite a bit more now that I'm done with my break. We should have at least 2 streams a week probably 3 on amalgamation of both Twitch and the Conflux. Something going on, so just check out the schedule. And we just got raided from
We did.
the Gaming
The
Avengers.
Gaming Avengers.
Welcome, folks. We're about to leave, though. I'm sorry you got here right at the end. Welcome in, Raiders, and thank you for joining us. Ben and Abby, and I'm sure Isaac is hanging around somewhere. Thank you all for joining us. We're about to leave. We're going to go raid Sathtresh because he's doing some Castlevania 2, but I think he's doing the Famicom disk system version. He's been doing that for a while, and some specific things with viewer redemptions at the time, but I don't think I've ever rated Sath because he's never streaming when I'm usually streaming myself. I'm never streaming in the morning, so it's like, yeah. So we will go see Sath, and thank you all for joining us again, and we'll see you next time. Squidge, Isnib, and Cage joining me for this very illuminative look at the differences between our two cultures here in the beautiful, gorgeous, God-backed United States and that God-forsaken country across the pond where they speak much, much better than we do. Because we just apparently, like take trash and put it in our mouth and spew it out, and it's like, we're great over here. Yeah.
Don't take it. We don't hold it against you.
We mangle the language just to stick it to the Brits back across the pond. So, thank you very much for joining me. We'll see you all later. Let's get that raid started. Adios. Don't do anything I wouldn't do because I ain't gonna do that shit. I don't know where you got that idea that I might do that shit, but it's just completely off the wall. Absolutely not. Don't ever ask me because I will not do that shit under any circumstances. Take it to the bank. Adios. We'll see you at 7. Good night.